Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
This is Jeremy, and I go by just Jeremy on Discord.
This is Aaron, I go by Truffinwood.
And welcome back to another riveting episode of Infamous. Starting off real quick, we've got some quick announcements. Parker has 3,589 probationary episodes.
God, 3,000? Why did I think it was lower than that? Sorry. Continue.
Can you pay those off in Canadian?
Yeah, that's US.
Oh.
Ugh.
What if I just keep converting it? Like back and forth? Just do the Michael Scott, I really need to get this in cash.
When I was thinking of like weird currencies, I just reheard a Mitch Hedberg joke today where he says, instead of getting 3 easy payments, I think it'd be funny if we did 2 easy payments and 1 very complicated payment.
Must be paid in wampum.
Wampum, yeah.
The envelope will not seal. The stamp will not stick. The envelope will get lost in the mail. And you're just like, why is this so hard?
Wampum.
Yeah. Mitch Hedberg, dude, guy can make any shitty joke funny.
My favorite part is when his shitty jokes he knew were bad, and so he proceeds it with, this is a bad joke that very few people will like. And then he would just say it. He's like, man, that is funny.
Here's an example. Hey, Jeremy.
No.
What do you call a pile of kittens?
Mm.
A meowton.
Mm. You can't get that time back, folks.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on. Parker, you used to be lower than this, but you lost the bet for LVO, and so instead of looking it up, I just took that and combined it with the fact that you were absent and just rounded it up to 1,000 episods. So you're now 3,589.
So you mean I wasn't wrong? It was lower than that?
No, it was lower before.
Okay. I was like, wow, 3,000? I don't remember it being at that far.
I'm pretty sure you lost 400 on LVO, but I'd have to go look it up, and I'm so busy. That's not worth my time.
You're right. I'm not worth it.
Yeah. So, anyway. Moving on, as always, links in the show notes, and Parker, we have the fabled news.
News.
Hey, news!
So, we got 2 big newses. First, very small news, because it's not really what the podcast is for, but the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. That's news.
How
Chiefs.
dare you? I was going to do that after.
Oh, really? Sorry, I beat you to it. It's news. But news that happened slightly before that news was there has been a new errata document. And curiously, if you look at the errata document yourself, you'll notice it's almost entirely black and white, except for page 5 of the PDF. There's a whole lot of blue that starts and ends with Cosmic Ghost Rider. So CGR got changed a whole lot. I'll try to give you the skinniest version, and then we can talk about implications if we want to. But some of the bigger ones, they increased the power cost of his spender, the Cosmic Penance Stare, to 8. So now it's 8 instead of its previous 6. Now he can only use his Chains of Sidorak pulling superpower once per turn, as opposed to as many times as he wanted. And now he rolls for his extra power during the cleanup phase rather than the power phase, which means he no longer gets to start the game with a whole lot of power. He now starts the game with 1 power. But he does still start with his Psychosis token.
Yep.
So he is Psycho, but he only has 1 power now, as opposed to being able to start with potentially 6 power and then go off on a tear on the very first turn.
Yep. They also added the small caveat, if he is dazed, he gains the token automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I guess, kind of interesting, because you can intentionally daze him to force him to be insane, which I don't know if is a strong strategy, but it is a potential strategy if you're like, I know that he's trying to get to the point where he can contest next turn, so I'm going to try and counterplay that. Because, the act of dazing him already makes him contest less than he normally would.
And I know there's been some contention on the internet about the timing of it, but it's pretty clear with the new way that he works with his power during the cleanup phase, if he is dazed, he does not roll, right?
Correct.
So if anybody was curious out there, like, how does that interact? That is how it works. So now if he's been given a dazed token during that turn, during that cleanup phase, he does not roll to get his power. Then he removes the dazed token and flips over. So you will not.
And I think
get
that's
the
also
benefit of
why
power.
they added the if you're dazed, you gain the token. Because
Right.
if let's say you had 3 power and they daze you, well, now you don't roll, you only go to 4. So blah, 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 you don't end up getting it. And so it is adding potentially even more counterplay to him. I don't know if they were trying to go that far. Jeremy, what do you think about this? Is it a big nerf? Is it little? Is it too much?
So first off, I'm going to say it's too much. I think his spender going up so high is good. I think that's something that should have happened. You should not have ever been able to just do that twice in a turn or 4 times during a game. Like once in a game should be sufficient enough. That's the way these big ass spenders usually work. It's like once per game, sometimes twice randomly, but him doing it so many times was not cool. The rest of it though might be a bridge too far. I'll kind of leave it at that for now.
Aaron, do you have thoughts?
So you said it was a nerf. Is this like an Enchantress nerf or a Black Cat nerf?
Oh, I feel that this is definitely more of the Enchantress variety.
Okay. I'm going to agree with you. However, no nerf would ever have been not enough. Sorry. No nerf would have been too much. They could have outright banned him, and the game would have been in a better state now than it was a week ago.
Interesting.
Right?
I agree.
They
I agree with
absolutely. I think they went too far, but I don't give a shit. I'm just very happy he is not going to exist the way he did before. Right? I actually like all of the individual changes in a nutshell. Because if they had not changed his ability to chains multiple times per turn, I absolutely would have tried to abuse that. Guaranteed. Like I already had before. Yeah. Nothing would have stopped me from doing that in the future.
Sure. I don't know that was abusive. I think it was good.
Sure. I said I would have tried to abuse it. I don't know if I've been successful.
Sure. I mean, 6-point Gwen doesn't seem incredibly broken. Like, it's
6-point quasi-unkillable Gwen seems really good.
I don't know about quasi-unkillable, but it is much more resilient, like massively so. But I mean, it's also a 6-point model. 6-point model should kind of stand up. And if you're burning all your power on that, then you're losing a lot of what makes that model tick in the other way. But it is versatile because you can change that up at any point, right? And transition to murder if you prefer.
Yep. I agree with Jeremy's. He never should have been able to double spender. I think they could have done that with a 7-point cost as opposed to an 8. But the change I think I like the most, but have yet to actually see on the tabletop, is how the power gain in the power cleanup phase is going to actually affect his playstyle. Right? You can actually stop him from gaining power.
It's objectively a nerf, because if you think about it just chronologically, every time you activate him, he's powered up one less time than he would have previously.
Yeah.
And then if you manage to daze him in one of those cleanup phases, then it's an additional time on top of that. Also, checking for when he checks for the Insanity token beyond the automatic times, he is not gaining the power phase power before checking it. So you effectively now require 6 power in the power phase versus 5 power in the power phase. So they overall made his kit less free, which is good.
Yep. I kind of wish he did not have the Psychosis token at the beginning of the game, so the CGR player could use him to sit on a point, pick up an extract, and then slowly get angrier and more psychotic as the game goes on, and he gets the power, and then he drops the stuff and can't contest. I think that probably, I think everyone agrees it was probably a little too much, which again I said I'm okay with. They could just add that one little tweak, and I think that helps the CGR player score one more point early to kind of keep it close. I don't know. Those are some random thoughts without any playtesting.
Yeah. I generally agree, because I really think the problem with him was he's starting the game a round earlier than your opponent is. And so he's getting full-on combat mode attrition work done on the top of 1, where most people don't have access to that kind of tempo. And so introducing a 6-point model to the game that has this kind of damage output, I don't think was the problem. Like, Magneto has arguably more damage output than CGR does. Problem is he completely lacks the tempo aspect. Like, he has to build up his things over time. He has to get in a position. He's a dramatically slower model. And so they decided to hit him in the way that is, we'll take away his power so he can't afford to be this big tempo piece. Where I think you might be right, where I think a better way to attack it would have been take away the token, remove the dice math, and like make him play the game a little bit differently. I think that would have been a better way to look at it.
I also never thought he was overpowered. I thought he was very unfun.
Yeah.
Like, the CGR player won or lost the game based off their dice, not a lot of what you did in terms of your positioning or your dice really mattered. Like, oh, you got 10 hits. Okay, I guess I just die. Like, doesn't matter if I block 3 or 0.
I think that's a very important distinction that a lot of people aren't making when they just complain to the ether about him. Is like, it isn't that he's too strong. He is strong, and he might be a little too strong, but he was not as strong as people were complaining about him. And we have the math to prove that, right? We can see his winning percentages. Like, it's good, but like, it's not insane off the charts or anything. But the problem is that he is dramatically unfun to play against. And I think that is important to recognize.
I think the thing that, for me anyway, and I think you guys have touched on it, is that he had the ability, unlike a lot of characters in the game that needed to jump through some sort of hoop to get, an early game advantage. He just had a monstrous early game advantage, and he kept that advantage the whole game. Like, he was great pre-turn 1, and then he was great until turn 5. And there was never a point at which he slowed down or dipped in effectiveness until, like you guys said, maybe his dice were just really bad for a single turn. And even then, he usually got multiple opportunities in that turn to get good dice because he has the ability to shoot, even outside of his activation. He has the ability to move characters around. So even if he doesn't get great dice, he's probably still affecting the game. So I think this will give him peaks and valleys. He starts in a valley, and he'll get some peaks, and he'll go really down deep into a valley. And so you're going to see him follow the same kind of curve that a lot of characters do over the course of a game, unlike what he did before, where he felt like he just started on the top of the mountain, and he just plateaued, and he was just that great the entire time. And the only dips you would see is if, somehow the 3 times he got to shoot in one turn, they were all bad, which is unlikely. Now you'll be able to take advantage of moments of weakness, where before you didn't see those very often. It didn't feel like it was going to happen.
I find this very reminiscent of the original Malekith nerf, when they took away his automatic first turn charge and they got rid of the no dice mods against him. It felt like they just added some counterplay and made the things that used to be free cost you something. And so that was a combination of either playing Cat Dog or Wong or Advanced R&D with original Malekith. Now CGR is going to be tied to someone who can either give him a lot of power or give him lots of mobility. And so I think we'll probably see a massive drop in the amount of people playing him. It's probably like we did with Malekith originally. I doubt he'll have the resurrection that Malekith had 6 months later, but I think that was also mostly due to the mission pack changing.
I think it'll be great to not see it. I think it was Mike who said every list should have him in it. And that was not a wrong statement. Every list could use Cosmic Ghost Rider in that current form. There was no reason not to have him as your 10th model. And then now, it's not like that at all. There's just some things you just wouldn't use him for now, which is good. That's where it should be.
No, I agree with that. There's definitely, you should not be putting him in every list now. I don't know that I agree with he should be your 10th model. That might be more of a statement about how worthless your 10th model is than as opposed to how good CGR was. But there's definitely a lot of lists he actively hurts your strategy. But he was definitely a problem. All right, so Jeremy, you said that you think it might be a little too strong of a touch. Parker, do you have an opinion on that? On the overall, did they dial it in just right? These are obviously hip shoots, so
I agree. I agree. The only thing that should have been done to him, now that he's a Peak and Valley character, which is similar to the other characters in the game, where you're going over the course of multiple turns, you're going to see his contribution to the game differ, as opposed to before, where I felt like it didn't. Giving him something to do on that first turn is really hard with a Psychosis token on him. I think that is actually might be the nerf, because if you have to play him like a Peak and Valley character, that means you do have to score some. The likelihood of him removing all your opponent's models and you counting on that is not there. So if that's the case, he needs to be able to gain a few points over the course of the game. He might do that randomly, but not being able to do that on turn 1 is bad, because right now he's not going to be able to do a whole lot with his 1 power. So I think that the reason why people are not going to play him, I think, is because he has the Psychosis token on turn 1. I think that's going to be the thing that actually does it, because he now needs to play like a regular tempoed character, and he can't make use of his model and his base and his presence on turn 1 at all, except to maybe move once and shoot once. Probably not good enough unless it's a really great shot. So we'll see if anybody can make use, find something really important for him to do early game, but we'll see.
So to answer the question, you think it's too much or no?
I think it's too much by exactly the token on turn 1. That's the very small bit that's going to make it really hard to play.
So you think they should have removed the token because him not being able to contest means that with now the lack of power, he's useless?
Yeah. Early game.
So by that
early
justification, if you just play him in Spirit of Wakanda, is he still really strong?
Yes, but I think that a lot of characters are like that. I think a lot of characters, you're like, okay, I want to make a character better in early game, so Spirit of Wakanda, so Inhumans.
Yeah.
So
no, obviously it's going to be better.
Right.
But you're saying that if you were to play him in Spirit of Wakanda, do you even really notice the nerf that much? Because at that point, it feels like mostly you're just losing the 2 power on the spender.
I think if you play Spirit of Wakanda, do you notice the nerf?
Because you get to place him, or you don't get to place him, you get 2 extra power, so you can guarantee he gets to place 3 and double tap on the first turn.
I think you notice it a lot less. I think in Humans, you probably notice it a lot less. You can probably afford to pass him 2 power over the course of a turn. I think there'll be some. Okay. I think there'll still be some factions that definitely feel or help him feel like he's still really useful turn 1. I think even like a Cap Avengers, the fact that he can just move once, pull once, and then shoot once is probably good enough turn 1 tempo. So there is going to be things that I think he can still do on turn 1, but now it'll be a certain affiliation. Whereas before, it's just like I put, like Jeremy said, he's my 10th character. I put him down on the field. Look, he's killing your stuff on turn 1 and for every turn after that. So can you beat that? They're like, oh, you can't. Cool. My 1 model is all it took. But now you need a plan for him.
I'm going to rebut that in 20 seconds. I played probably 30 games of CGR last year. Not a lot, but enough. My relatively informed take is that he was worth his spender, period. All the whole, I'm shooting you, I'm moving, all that mattered was how effective were his spenders when they got them off. And so the fact that he can't do that twice and it costs 8 power, I think that alone effectively neuters him. That was 28 seconds, I'm sorry.
You're really bad at time.
I am.
Okay. I do think the nerf was a little heavy-handed, mostly because, we touched on this earlier. I think they should have gone with the messing with the first turn token as opposed to messing with the first turn power, because it just really puts him in a bottle, right? Like, he only can do one thing, and that thing is now get help to be what he used to be, as opposed to do something else. And anytime you throttle in the things someone can do, that's not great for the ability to play the game, but he needed to be reined in somewhat, so I think that's fine. I think we can all agree that anything that has that much tempo on the first turn needs to be fixed, so I don't think anyone's going to push back on that, especially, the elephant in the room. It's Spirit of Wakanda. That's the elephant.
It's fair. Yeah. That is fair and balanced. I knew you were going to say that.
Did you, because, they have elephants in Wakanda?
No.
Nobody got that?
You were just going to go there.
Okay, fine.
The Wakandans fought hard for what they got, and they deserve it.
Oh, okay.
And you can't argue with that. That's just, they deserve it.
Okay. Aaron, you had a topic that you want to talk about today?
Yes. Okay. So with CGR being nerfed with a capital N, not the black cat little n, there's been a lot of Discord chatter and discussion about, well, now it's just going to be Web Warriors and Hellfire, who are just top dogs. And why would you play anything else? Because they're just going to win the game, right? Because scenario is so good now that CGR's gone. I want to take a second to acknowledge that probable truth behind that sentiment. Like, I actually agree. If you want to go have an easier path to victory, I do think hard scenario teams are top dog at the moment. And I would lump Web Warriors, Wakanda, and Hellfire all together in the three superb competitive scenario teams.
Would you lump Sam in there?
I would not. I think,
You think
Sam...
he's a tier below, or he's just in a different category?
He's a tier below. Like, if it is Sam into Hellfire, I think Sam is at a disadvantage.
Okay.
I think Sam might be better than, say, Wakanda or Webs into an attrition team. That I think we'll talk about in a little bit. So I think Sam still has a place. He's not going to do scenario as well as those, but he might perform better than they do into those attrition teams. So I think he still has a role. So here are I have 10 teams that I think are really good.
Okay, well, do we want to talk about that concept first? You just want to go straight to the teams?
Let's talk about the concept. So that's my 2 cents. What do you guys feel about it?
I'll go first, I guess. I feel very strongly that sentiment is likely to be proven correct. I think everyone is on board with the nerf that CGR got. It's better in the current state than it was before. But I think that many of us were hoping that they would also address other things in the meta that had... Basically, it felt like, right, there's the two heavyweights in the corners, which one is the fighty meta and one is the scenario meta. And everyone in the middle's kind of been in no man's land for a long time. And so I was definitely hoping, I know others were as well, when one of those two towers got hit, the other one would too. This was a terrible one.
That's too soon. Too soon.
I did not mean to do this. This is actually completely by accident. As soon as I said towers, like, can I get out of this? It's too late.
No.
It's like, fuck me.
The balloon.
All right. I was thinking Lord of the Rings, just so everyone understands.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway, as soon as one of the heavyweights gets hit, like, the other one is just going to naturally absorb the power vacuum. And so I think a lot of people were hoping that those other lists would be touched, at least somewhat. And you don't even need to do like these, like, this was a very in-depth nerf that took a lot of playtesting, I bet. Like, there's like 5 changes on one card. It's like, but on the other side, like, we all know what the problem models are. They're the Stealers. Like, if we address the mechanic of stealing, I think we're in a completely different meta.
Damn it, I hate to agree with you, but I do.
Most people do hate to agree with me, but as you'll see,
but they
votes,
do. Yeah,
they tend to, and I make it hard, like real hard.
You do.
I just want I want to know people actually like my opinions, so that's why I'm so abrasive.
It hurts to agree with you, but we do it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, because then you know they love your opinions for your opinions and not for you. Sometimes you don't. I don't want yes men. I want no men. That's what I want.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and disagree to a degree, and this is why. Before CGR existed, so too did Web Warriors and Hellfire. And good players have the ability to play them, but I don't think they did as much. I think we can agree that Web Warriors was slept on really hard.
I just want to point out that, in my opinion, the reason that they take over is because the nerf hadn't happened yet. And so, like, Black Cat got buffed and Voodoo got nerfed. And so the list that was killing everyone and dominating the entire world got nerfed. And as soon as that happened, CGR existed.
What was the list you're talking about? Sam
Vengers with Voodoo.
I don't think Sam Vengers with Voodoo was winning the world. It didn't win Las Vegas last year, and it was available, and it didn't. And it wasn't even the top table. I think there was a lot of polarization with CGR because he was one model, like you said, you could drop in every list. He could be your 10th model and feel good. But there was a world before CGR, and it was not dominated by 2 scenario lists. Now, when CGR came around, I think the response was, okay, I think we might be able to beat a CGR list with a really hardcore, totally hands-off, I don't need to kill you scenario list. Who could do that best? And so it's Hellfire and Web Warriors. So I think what people are looking at right now is, oh, the check to Hellfire Web Warriors was CGR. I don't think that was actually the case. I think it was the natural evolution of the counter to CGR made by good players. And so now that CGR is gone, people think that Hellfire and Web Warriors will now rise to the top. I think you guys are not wrong. That's what I mean to the degree. I think some good players are going to think this exactly logical train, which is, as it turns out, Hellfire and Web Warriors have always been good, but they were always good. They were good when they came out, but good players weren't pushing that scenario play as hard as they were because they thought, they'd all agreed at the time, it was Avengers or Shield or some variety that used Voodoo or Brotherhood, and before that with the tricks with the Senators. So like the meta was revolve. This is the revolving door of the meta, right? This is rock paper scissors that keeps changing.
Definitely.
So I don't actually. I think you are right that people will agree it's Hellfire and Web Warriors, and the internet and the world will agree. But I don't think it's actually true because those factions existed beforehand, and they weren't the ones everybody was playing. It wasn't what everyone agreed upon was great. Now your Steelers comment, I think, is a good one. I think they're a foil. And it just so happens that they're concentrated in a few affiliations. But even when they were not played a whole lot.
Well, I think it's important to like follow the timeline specifically, though, because like if we go back to when the scenario packet came out, is when Malekith was out, and so Malekith was keeping these lists in check, and Malekith was fucking everywhere. So people were playing Sam. Sam specifically countered the Malekith list, and so Malekith was the number one list during that. Or sorry, Malekith and Sam were like the two people doing their stuff back then. And then as we moved along, Malekith CGR comes out, Spider-Woman comes out, Rhino comes out. We get more Steelers and more Fighty all at the same. It's just piling on top of the list that are already out. And we saw the CGR Malekith list. We saw the Immortal Hulk Malekith list. And those things were what was keeping the scenario list in check by just going harder the other direction. Then the nerf happened, or the dynamic update happened, adjusted a lot of these problem models, but CGR didn't get touched. Black Cat got buffed somehow. Bill didn't get touched. Sam didn't get touched. And so, but Voodoo did. And so that's a big part of it, is that Voodoo shut down the Steelers. Because Voodoo could single-handedly lock a Steeler out of the game. Mm-hmm. And now you don't have that really reliable Voodoo tool. Malekith's gone. CGR's gone. There is no scary side of the attrition meta unless X-Force or somebody like that takes over. And so all we have left now of those original pillar lists is the Steeler attrition list, which is why people are afraid of it. But we are still in the point where we don't know if it's going to happen the way people predict. And you're totally right on that. Like, who knows, right? Because we've never had this meta before.
Right. I think specifically about this, the first thing I thought of when the CGR meta or CGR was nerfed was not, okay, now all the Steelers are going to be so strong because CGR is gone. I went, okay, now I can play my attrition lists that lost to CGR but cruelly punished scenario lists. That's the first thing I thought. Because, as it turns out, there are ways to play into scenario lists that feel just terrible for them. But those lists really suffered against CGR. Shadowlands Daredevil is a really good example. I loved him, and I felt like I feel like his list eats scenario play, eats a scenario list up. However, man, that CGR was a super hard counter to him. He just played his game so much better than he could play. And now that CGR is gone, I feel like characters and lists like the Shadowlands Daredevil list that loves to see Web Warriors, loves to see Hellfire, are going to have a lot of competitive play. So that's that's the wheel spinning, right?
Yep.
That's the wheel spinning.
So I think that's what we want to do now is aside from.
I was going to give Jeremy a chance. Did you have an opinion on where you think the meta is going?
No, I don't have anything to add to that.
I just didn't want to run past you.
No, we're good.
Okay, running past Jeremy. So other than Web Warriors, Wakanda, and Hellfire, so skipping those, if we wanted to innovate in a post-CGR nerfed world, either with a scenario list that's not one of those three, or an attrition list, or a tempo list, whatever you want to call it, we're just going to come up with some alternative, hopefully attractive alternatives that we were excited to try or see someone else try. in the forthcoming 6 months. Parker, you already talked about your Shadowlands. Do you want to give a little bit more meat on that bone, or leave it
Sure,
as
absolutely.
you said?
So I think the current version of Shadowlands got a huge windfall with 2 characters: New Crossbones, Merciless Merc, and MODOK, Scientist Supreme, because you can. The old problem with Shadowlands Daredevil is if it really spread out, it felt at a pretty big disadvantage. And it didn't feel like it could play the scenario game very well. You won on scenario accidentally because all their models were dead. But MODOK can actually set up on something like a B scenario and feel really, really good. And so there's a great switch from Shadowlands to MODOK. There's a bunch of other characters that got buffed that Shadowlands loves now. Deadpool just feels fantastic in the faction, and the fact that you can't daze him out of the game for contesting is amazing. Blob works great with MODOK. MODOK can't be moved by superpowers. Blob pushes people off of scenario points. And then at any moment, you're like, okay, this person's going to play me some Web Warriors. They're going to try to run down they're going to try to completely disengage from me. I'm just going to do Shadowlands Daredevil and nothing but 3s. And I'm going to take priority when I want. I'm going to be attacking with tons of mystic attacks. Just the volume of rapid fires will be so intense. They'll start to fall down. Fair lists, fair attrition lists also won't be able to deal with just the weight of gunfire. It's a really easy switch lists now that it wasn't before because a few key models came out, and then like Deadpool was tweaked and he works great for both. So that's one list I think that's going to do well right now. And specifically, its big stop was, what about CGR? And the answer was nothing. Like, it really didn't feel like you could do anything in a CGR. But it would, now that he is on the out, you might be able to go through a tournament and just crush people.
Okay. List
so,
one.
in your experience, he runs over Web Warriors?
Yes. And the main reason why is all the models in the list either move a little bit too fast now, or can sit on blues and kill things like one-on-one. They're basically one-on-one characters. Unlike a lot of Web Warriors are like, okay, I'm going to be sitting over here on a B or a D, and I'm going to one-on-one you because you're not going to be able to take me out completely, and I'll just pull you off the point. But when you're sitting up next to the hood, he'll just stand there and do 4 attacks on you, and you die. Like, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it's so much more likely when you get 4 attacks on the miles, right? So the 1v1s are so much harder against them. And then also I do Deadpool now can move himself, Crossbones can move and shoot. There's more Craven can move around. There's a lot more models in the list now that move around or have mobility options, whereas before it was just nothing but very static rapid fires. Now there's a little bit more mobility if you need it.
Cool. Who has another list?
Jeremy, did you have one?
I mean, it's a little strange because he was Cosmic Ghost Rider was kind of my flavor of the month. Everything I tend to use tends to get nerfed, so I'm generally having to change with the meta because I get kicked back into the spot I was supposed to be in before. Like, I get to play like, okay, I'm going to take this big truck and run over the tiny trucks. And everybody's like, look at that guy with the giant fucking truck. And then they take my truck away. So what I'm looking at now is honestly, iHulk will probably be making an appearance again and doing iHulk things. So when it comes to other lists, I'm not really interested in playing a scenario game. I just don't like playing that way.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Obviously, we have very similar play styles.
I'll piggyback on your iHulk comment, though. I think Suns are somewhere between horribly underrated and whatever's one step up from that. I don't know why you wouldn't want to be playing Suns right now. I think they have both an excellent attrition and scenario game with the extracts and the free bump and the extra power, freedom to build your team to play iHulk or not play iHulk. I just think Suns have a lot of flexibility and game into some of the scenario teams that just want to run away with stuff. Well, you have your own Steelers, you have your own Voodoo, you can do it all.
I just feel defenders are more consistent. Maybe not better, but more consistent. But obviously that list can be both, so it's fine.
I don't know
it
how.
costs you very little to dual affiliate with that combo.
I don't know how Suns have not spit something crazy out yet. Like, it seems like their day is coming, or like, were we not around for 6 months? Like, did we get abducted and like they were dominating
really
and something
good
happened? Like, I
for,
don't. It's fucking weird.
Like
man.
a long time ago, and then they had a big reappearance with Hulk. Then with Defenders out now, they've kind of been forgotten for a bit.
Hulk is in Defenders.
He is. That is true.
Which
I
is
don't know
weird.
if you would want to play him, but you could.
Right.
So I don't know how much you want me to not troll you with my picks, and so I'm just going to start.
You're talking to the listeners? Or what?
No, I'm talking specifically to Aaron. So it's your topic. So my first list was Kingpin Criminals with Rhino and Black Cat, and potentially another Steeler just in case, and then throw in a couple models that have helmet, like a MODOK 2, just to add an annoyance factor. Just kind of hang out with that, see how it feels.
Well, I had Crimson on my competitive scenario. Like, I have 3 teams that are scenario competitive that aren't, Webs, Wakanda, Hellfire. And I think Crimson's very valuable if you want to again, same shtick,
Yeah, you're fighting fire with different fire. Like, I'm really trying not to go on a rant because I want to stay positive. This is the least interesting meta I can remember for this game. And I know that's a personal opinion because of the playstyle I have. I'm not interested in scenario teams. I think they're really boring. I think they make the game derivative. And I get that some people really like them. And like, I play Webs a lot because they're good and not because I really enjoy them. And so it's just like, I'm at the point I was like, well, I spent 6 months of last year playing Webs and I didn't like them. And so I just beat that. Like, that whole playstyle is just like, it's like nails on a chalkboard for me when I play. It's like, I want to play to fight people. And the whole concept that you're incentivized to just run directly away from each other. It's like, oh my God. Like, so it drives me. I just look at the game, the meta, and I'm like, all right, well, these are going to be the 6 most popular lists. I don't know that I want to play that. And it's just my immediate reaction. So I'm really hoping that it doesn't devolve to that.
Okay. Parker, do you have list number 2?
So, I think my list number 2 is actually Defenders. I feel like they have, right now, they're one of the most, they had a bunch of tools to deal with CGR, right? Which I think they had a bunch of unique tools that I loved to deal with CGR, but you had to use those, and that took up some awkward slots in your roster. And the list felt great, but was tuned heavily to beat CGR. So without CGR as such a dominant presence, you can kind of let loose with some of the other cool tools Defenders have, because Defenders actually have a bunch of like high mobility characters and things like iHulk, other options and ways to play them that are their roster is just so wide, and you can still include, if you want to, some of the elements of that core retributive package with things like Sabretooth or Ronin or Venom with the Shadowlands Daredevils, and you could make that really, really hard for anybody who wants to try to bop you over the head. Because if you thought it was good against CGR, imagine how good it could be against other more traditional attrition lists. So you'll definitely feel good running down the middle of an E, but they have a lot of go out and get them, and I don't care that you move me once because I have charge, or I have places, I have range 5 attacks in places and things like that. There's things that Defenders can do to just go get you. They have a ton of tools, a huge toolbox. You mentioned it with Midnight Suns. Like, maybe it's just better Midnight Suns. I think it could be right now with Shadowland, with the new Daredevil specifically.
I'm going to give you a big gold star for that one. They were on my short list. I think if you want to have a lot of fun and play competitive MCP, you should play Defenders right now, assuming you don't want to play one of the big 3. They are so much fun, and I actually think for a lot of the reasons you stated, they have some significant game into the scenario teams. Like, what if you played ASM as an offensive missile? That just sounds like fun. What if you wanted turn 1 charges with Wolverine, getting rerolls? There's a lot of tempo you can put on someone who just, moves to the middle and is like, well, I'm just going to, have Miles pick this up because what's the chance that you can one round, Miles? Like, well, welcome to No Matter the Cost Wolverine with rerolls. Like, defenders have a lot of options that they can roll with. So I'll leave it to some other people to like put an actual list together. But I really like defenders as an option into a scenario right now.
They also have models that people don't often think of as defenders. Like Valkyrie's a defender. Like she'll go kill you. She'll go kill you. Like your 3+ character is trying to run away with a point. She'll just charge you and kill you. Or throw you, charge you, kill you. Like there's so many different things. And she's one of those characters that loves when you're pillow fisted, right? That you're not going to attack her. She's totally fine with that. She'll just go get you. So there are lots of models in that affiliation like that, which is funny because they also have a lot of the retributive models. So they have both.
Yeah. How about playing Sabretooth 1?
Yeah. How about
go pick up an extract. Doesn't work against Steelers like Cat and Rhino, but against say Miles or Spider Woman. Okay, go ahead.
You're right.
Hit me. I'll hit you back with a reroll.
Spider Woman's not that afraid of Sabretooth.
No, she's not. It's more Miles.
Yeah, and even Miles honestly isn't that afraid of him.
I know. Okay, Brandon, you got another one?
This is definitely not a troll, so don't think it is. Weapon X. Point, click, run at people. What could go wrong?
Huh. They were only one of 4 that I have listed as bad affiliations you should not be playing right now.
How dare you? It's obviously better in probably just straight up X-Force, obviously. But taking all the X people that slash up enemies and just running at them and just ignoring the stereo, basically. I think doing the opposite of what your opponent's doing is generally good when you're playing against a team that's better at you at what they're doing. But yeah, that's more of a concept than an actual suggestion.
Sure. I like the concept. I just think, like you said, it's better played in the different
X-Force
affiliation.
is just better.
Yeah.
That's...
So before I let Parker take mine, I'll give a shout out to X-Force there. I think X-Force are probably the premier attrition squad you can go with right now.
Mm-hmm.
Cat and Mouse.
We got rid of our turn 1 tempo list that dazes your model on turn 1 because that was really not good for the game.
Well, it takes a little more setup to be able to do it with cable, but
you have to say cat and mouse, and that's true.
Oh well, and or lockjaw with anyone, but yes. Obviously Alec did a great job at LVO showcasing what X-Force can do. They've got a bunch of, just like you were talking about, super solid, super killy models. A lot of them with action economy placement. So if you just want to roll dice without a big guy, you just want a lot of relatively consistent dice across the board that do good damage, roll X-Force. See how well they can do. I think they are relatively positioned well.
Are you saying take X-Force without Cable?
Cable's not a big guy. You think I would never consider so I consider big guys 6 threat and above.
Okay. Well, let's define that thing.
Okay.
I was very confused.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't say 5-pointers are big guys. Like Scarlet Witch is not a big guy or big girl, I don't think.
But I mean, Red Skull 2 is not a big guy?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I would have never assumed that.
I wouldn't even call, I guess really dangerous or really consistent
Ulick?
Doesn't make Ulick a big... I mean, by body mass, he's pretty big.
I mean, the model's not that big. I'm just saying, right. When I consider, big guy, I'm thinking, heavy-hitting models. 5-pointers are definitely when that starts. There's a lot of 5 and 6 point models that are effectively interchangeable for the most part. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
X23
I think that
is
6
also
points.
a big guy.
What'd you say?
X23 is
5-point
also
model.
a big guy.
I think Zemo 1 can become a big guy. Their fucking Nebula can become a good big guy.
I just don't know where other people arbitrarily draw lines. That's fine.
Right.
At least we should talk about it if we're not talking with people that we talk to regularly.
Mine is, and I have a cogent point for this, which is I think at 6th threat, the rest of your list actually becomes more difficult to manage. I find that at most point values, 5 threat you can put in and include and still keep your core, still keep your game plan. I feel like 5 points doesn't sell out your game plan to one model. That's what I felt generally, but maybe I'm wrong. But that's when I think of big guy.
Due to the points threshold we have, and the convenient model count list that we tend to run, it generally breaks down to the difference of having a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer. And so, yeah, it's a big investment because you're downgrading from a combat effective model generally to a non-combat effective model. And so that you need that 6-pointer to carry the load, for sure.
That's where I think of big guy when I think of big guy, for that reason. Jeremy, beside Midnight Suns and iHulk, is it just iHulk next that you think can get into the meta?
I mean, I'm still having fun with Guardians. I'm not ready to throw CGR in the trash. I still think that there's game there. Just using Guardians. We'll see. So I'm going to be playing that a bit too. I really dislike some of these lists that we're talking about with Emma and spiders, and it just makes me kind of sad that those even exist. Honestly, I don't like tier lists, and that's what Emma is. It's just a fucking tier list that gets its thing going. It's fucking
scenario
stupid.
lists also always break down to you're playing these models, like, because they're the best at that one thing. And so you're doing webs. It's like, okay, well, here's it's your squad is pre-selected. Like, I played webs for 6 months. It's like, that's basically what happens. I tried as hard as I could to get outside the curve by playing Peter 1. And it's just like, what did they do? They released Peter 3. It's like, fine, whatever. Everyone can play this thing. All right, Aaron, do you have any other lists you want to talk about?
I've got one more.
Oh, Parker, go ahead.
I think that it's oldie but a goodie. Like, these kind of old hats. People go, well, of course he's good. But I think Steve 1 is still, he greases wheels, and in a scenario meta, I think he is poised to do even better. Because one of the things that it feels bad in Avengers is when you have somebody that just blows him up with single big attacks, like a CGR does, or takes out your Black Panther with a spender. You're like, oh, I don't like Black Panther. Spender, CGR, Black Panther's gone. Thank you, moving on. But in a meta where somebody has to attack all of your martial artists, or needs tempo, and Cap is going to give you that awesome tempo early game with people like Zemo charging on turn 1, or Deadpool, placing and quadruple tapping the midline. New Black Widow is an Avenger, and I think she is amazing against the scenario play and countering that, because she has her spender she has Sabretooth spender, and when she gets knocked out, you get to place the red token. Like, she, I think, is really strong counter scenario player. So I think Cap 1 is, I think, where I know people are going to reach for Sam, because people just agree it's Sam, but I think specifically Cap 1 loves scenario play because he gets to run his discount power playbook all the time and not worry about his models getting one-shotted into those lists. And he can run all the mobility, and all the mobility is always on. So it's really easy to just play nothing but models that spend 1 power and move long or move short with range 5 or place here or there. There's so many ways to go get them with Steve 1. My current Steve 1 list is a combination of hardcore big stack rerolls to do big damage, with Mordo and characters that reroll a lot of dice like Zemo. And then it also has enough space for the martial artist package, where if somebody wants to just play me in scenario, I go, cool. I'll just have all these models that scenario play and live longer than your guys' do. So if you have to kill me, you won't be able to with your pillow fists. It feels pretty good.
Parker, you're on fire tonight. I completely agree.
Oh, thanks.
Steve 1 has one, the reason to play Steve 1 is for his first turn tempo, over other power gaining leaderships, put it that way. And what you're specifically trying to combat with all of these scenario teams is the early turn leads that they can provide. And so I think Steve 1 helps you maintain some of that parity. And by that, I mean some of the attrition he can start turn 1 that other teams can't. It's harder for, let's say, your webs to just steal everything and run away on turn 2 and then win it on turn 3 when they're half dead starting turn 2. Anyway, so I really like Avengers. They were on my list as well.
All right, you ready for my next one?
Yep.
Definitely not a troll pick. Inhumans with CGR. Could go wrong. Can't be stopped. No one's going to be expecting it because you're going to be the first one back to it. And he's going to run CGR anyway. And you can either take the dog or not because you want to bring, obviously attrition work. But if you do bring the dog, hands out power. You dump 3 power on CGR on the first turn. And then you put Black Bolt and CGR on the center line. And you just laugh at people when they come to get the objectives.
I think he is definitely he still remains that 10th model that you can just drop in your list for Inhumans for sure. And they can still run the rest of whatever package they want. They're such a flexible package.
So for me, it's plan A, but yeah, I totally agree. You could be more flexible.
Right.
My list is 4 models. So I imagine other people will want more than that.
Yeah.
Why are you guys laughing?
We're laughing with you, not at you.
Yeah.
So I got Black Bolt, CGR. That's what, 11? You throw in the dog. We're at 14. Throw in Apex. We got it. Like, fucking killing it over here.
I mean, Inhumans are never a bad pick, right? They can do a lot with their flexibility leadership and a bunch of very attrition models.
Yeah. I think the key, though, is for that not being a troll pick, is that no one is going to be expecting to have to deal with CGR anymore. So their lists are going to be completely angled towards dealing with these high-value scenario lists. And I really don't think you're going to hit the same hurdles that CGR was hitting before.
Mm-hmm.
But also he's worse, so when you're basically playing the dark horse at that point, right? You're hoping that people aren't prepared for you.
Yeah.
Not everyone's running sacrifice and escort and, bullshit and 2 bodyguards in every roster and all that stuff. Sucker.
Yeah. So I have 2 more lists. One's attrition, one's scenario. Which one you want to hear about first?
Obviously the scenario list.
Obviously. Well, I got to give a big shout out to Dustin for this one because it's Brotherhood. He played Brotherhood Mystique only and did very, very well with it. So before, when I said if you wanted to play no big boys, you just play X-Force, Cable, and a bunch of 3s, occasional 4. Brotherhood,
big boys.
Brotherhood, you play with all the big boys. You run Hulk, Juggernaut, Mystique, and all of the really good Brotherhood models that exist. He ran it without mags. I am not convinced that that's the best way to run it, but he obviously did very well.
That's basically what I played at the last tournament.
Except you played with mags, right?
No, that's what I'm saying. I played with mags, but it's basically what I played last tournament with mags.
Yeah. I think mags is probably a 20% come to the table.
Oh, I totally agree. He's not competitive. But
right. I think there are places where he is competitive. I just think if you're jamming mags as your leader on every round because you don't even have Mystique or refuse to play your leadership, I think that is an incorrect competitive choice.
Why are you attacking me like this?
I find great pleasure in it.
I played Mystique in the 3rd round without Magneto.
Oh, okay. Well, good job. Anyway, Brotherhood, primarily Mystique, possibly mags, I think is a really good scenario tempo list to counter some of the other scenario lists that are quote-unquote meta. And then lastly, I think Guardians are still... I said X-Force was the premier attrition list. It's actually probably still Guardians. Right? They just don't run CGR. Or they do. They can run whatever the hell they want in that slot and do exactly what they were doing before CGR came, which was achieve a 55% win rate with a solid core and a great leadership. I won't beat that dead horse anymore.
I got one more.
Okay.
Spider Foes. Everybody's playing spiders, play Spider Foes. Definitely not a troll pick. I actually really like Spider Foes into webs in general. They have a lot of really nice synergy tools to actually deal with their bullshit. But the real key to the whole list, I think, will be the chaos that they bring. They feel like Hydra in that respect, that they just make things weird sometimes. You're like, oh, we're playing Skrulls? I have traps. And you're just like, oh no, what is going to happen when we get, because it's there's no more script. I've changed the script. We're doing something else now. Mm-hmm. And so usually when you get people off their first pitch, their second pitch is not nearly as good. They're not as practiced. They're not as planned. And you are ready for that because you play it every game. Every time I played Spider Foes, I was always impressed with their ability to just, turn a bad situation into a winnable one. Not a good one, but a winnable one. And you get to play well-laid plans, which is potentially awesome against these Steeler teams. Mm-hmm. You have 4 of the 5 objectives? interesting.
Yeah.
And you just blow up half the table.
I also think they have like things like Green Goblin is a huge problem because he is fantastic if he doesn't get a lot of offensive attention, right? And because he feels so dominant. I love when people are like, okay, I'm just going to double move my Gwen over here by Green Goblin, and like, okay, you'll take this truck while you're moving, and you're like, oh
yeah,
shit.
I don't want to do that. And you know why Spider Foes have not been in the meta? It has nothing to do with the scenario teams. They actually do okay in the scenario teams. It's the tall meta was killing them.
Yes.
So for 2 years, they've had to deal with Malekith and then with CGR, which just eats their list because they're just nothing but 4.7 health models.
Yeah.
And they're just perfect targets for those big guys. And so now that isn't there anymore. And so I think it's going to open up their playability.
Yeah, you just maybe move them from a meh to my good column. Look at that.
See, I'm trolling my way into the finals.
You are. Okay.
Here's your 7th place trophy.
Fourth place.
Can I say one more thing about them real fast?
No.
And you guys can tell. This is more of a question. This is, I think.
Well, if it's a question, that's fine.
I think new Ock is a trap. I think.
Yes.
I think he's actually worse than Green Goblin for what they want to do. Am I crazy?
I just want to point out when I pitch Spider Foes, it's 100% with Goblin.
Okay. For what they want to do.
I think Doc is an interesting counter pitch that you should be looking out for. Mm-hmm. But I don't think you necessarily need him in every game. I personally prefer Green Goblin.
I think Ock 2 into a scenario list is a horrible choice.
There you go.
I think Ock 2 into an attrition list is probably superior to Goblin. I
think you're probably right.
So I think Ock definitely has a place, but it is not to chase down Webs or Hellfire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think I've seen a couple of people just want to, because they wanted to put him down, right? And so they just said, I want to play. And so they did.
I think he's a good model.
But I think
not his matchup.
I think that skews the feeling, I guess, or maybe the data about them right now, is people are like, they're trash. Like, no, I think it's because people are really excited to play the new leader, but he is specifically not very strong into.
Yeah.
Well, his entire leadership is based on taking damage.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're playing into someone who's never damaging you, and oh, by the way, it's only attacks, I think. Fact check me if I'm wrong. But like Bill walking up in Hellfire and throwing a building into you doesn't give you extra power. So you're like, well, it's useless. Like I'm playing a leader with no leadership because all my opponent's doing is rotating and displacing me. Well, clearly you're playing the wrong damn leadership, so don't.
Yeah.
Green Goblin rotates and ruins rotators. He's so
good. And again, despite being what looks like a troll pick, they're actually a very intelligent faction. You have to use your very specific counter pieces and your chaos-inducing tactics cards to leverage what you're playing against. If you just take Doc, for example, like Aaron just said, he's not good into everything. If you're taking traps into Researcher, you need to rethink how to play the game. You just got to be careful, right? But at the same time, if you use these very specific tools well, you're really rewarded for it. And so they're not like a scripted faction, which is why I think they're interesting, because you really have to think about how to play them, even though they look like a potato faction.
I've definitely not trapped the Researcher more than once.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're just trying to deny points to the tall guy, that's fine.
Hell yeah.
No, right. But again, it's all about what you're doing.
Yeah, I know.
But if it's that's how I win is piling my guys on the Researcher because you're playing against Webs, then you trap it, you're like, damn it. It's come on, man. And you're your opponent is Thanos, and so when you kill your own grunt, he gets a victory point. You're like, what are you doing? You can definitely lose the game using your own cards. There's also, I believe, there's a way to daze your own models without activating them in in Spider Foes without throwing things, which is interesting.
Pray tell how.
Neogenic Recombinator. Take damage on somebody to move damage to another person, or move damage off another person. Basically, you take damage tokens off of one of your characters and put them on the character that's playing the card.
Surprise, probably was mine.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, just kidding, this guy's dead. And you're like, oh. But also, if you're playing against, people with grunts are super popular right now, especially with, Ultron. It's okay, well, I have Carnage, so I'm going to take 3 damage off of my Venom, put it on my Carnage, one-shot your grunt, heal to full, move, and attack. And you're like, oh, yeah, I didn't want that to happen.
Yeah.
And you're like, sorry. Oh, and then I'm going to play a tactics card to move your model off of this point that bypasses the helmet rule because it's a freaking tactics card. And then attack you for free again. And then it's like, now I'll take my second action and do an AoE attack. And you're like, fucking Christ, this guy's nuts.
Can be.
I don't think I've ever seen Spider-Foes played with Agent Venom either. I mean, I'm sure it's happened. I just haven't seen it. And that adds an even another nice layer of he fucks up Web Warriors. Mm-hmm. It's like, you have no mods, and I get to reroll your successes. Like, they basically block 0, and he just kills them. It's great.
Venom, Agent Venom, Green Goblin would be so scary for Web Warriors.
No, you'd be terrified, right? Like, you wouldn't be able to survive.
You would feel so bad.
And you have traps on the board. You're like, what are you going to do? And then I play Carnage rules to walk your guys forward, like Deception. Then I could just also play Mystique and Deception you on top of it. Yeah. It's like, get out of here. That's so annoying.
That's the other thing that's really cool about their affiliation that I like is, I know we've been talking about them for a while, but their drop-ins are so interesting. Like you're like, okay, maybe I'll put in a Zemo, give my guy some rerolls. That sounds badass. And he also just kind of gets better at killing things. And he's a fast model, and they don't have a lot of chargers. Just like there's a bunch of things that you can do to give them variability, or you can, double down and buff them. They don't have a supporter model, so play a supporting model too. Like there's a bunch of stuff you can do with them.
Other funny thing is Kraven cornering the beast works on Spider Tracker, and so you can like be really annoying with that too. There's just a lot of little traps.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I think there are also about 8 other affiliations I won't go into that I think aren't top tier competitive, but wouldn't be wrong to play. But otherwise, we've gone over 7 attrition and 3 scenario teams that aren't Web Warriors, Wakanda, or Hellfire that might be interesting to play in this new meta.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's too bad you're not allowed to play an affiliation.
It is too bad.
It's fine. Thanos will keep them going.
By the way, I for just half a moment, I thought, I wonder if Shield or Hydra really could belong on this. And then I looked at their rosters, so I looked at their affiliation. I was like, no, because specifically, you showed me, Aaron, that when you just put the best models in the game together, like Hellfire can, there's really not a whole lot you could do unless you have something specifically to beat the scenario play. And neither of those affiliations really attack the scenario player very well. They actually love the attrition player much more. So it's really hard to imagine that. But speaking of unaffiliated, I wasn't here when you guys recapped the last tournament. It was super fun to lose to unaffiliated, but thank you, Aaron. You showed me why I was wrong. You don't have to play. You don't have to play a leader in this game. It doesn't matter.
Now, if only he could have showed you how wrong you were with CGR instead of repeatedly losing.
That's the thing, is he only proves me right with CGR.
I know, right? That's the annoying. It's like, just play any 4-pointers and you can't lose. And Aaron's like, there's no way that works.
To be fair,
loses repeatedly. This doesn't seem right.
I think most times that Aaron's tried to show me how the meta works, he loses. But whenever he plays some off-brand bullshit, he just rolls me over. I'm like, okay.
Fair enough.
I think that we can go back to the videotape, but I think it's probably
the whole time the answer to CGR and Malekith was Spider-Foes.
Pretty sure that's incorrect.
It was Defenders.
I have direct evidence that it is incorrect.
I was playing Defenders when
I know, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
Are you guys excited about the new meta?
I am.
Is it? You are. I know Parker is. Are you guys excited about the upcoming releases? The New Mutants?
Gosh, I wish I was.
I was really excited about Bishop, and I just, unfortunately, the aesthetic model I like from the rotation is just the turd of the bunch.
Yeah. I'm excited to play more games and not have to. I am glad to see one of the big bads out of rotation, at least for a bit, and just to see some different things, because I've been playing, and I was pretty much forced into playing wide Guardians, which does not include Cosmic, and it was just fine. Like, I had fun playing games, and life continued, and it's fine, man. The game it's fun. It can be fun. I don't want to play against Emma, and I don't want to play against fighters, and I don't want, there's like, that to me isn't fun, but there is a version of the game out there that is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Cool. Do you guys have anything else you want to chat about? Alrighty. Parker, do you have a comic corner for us?
Oh, I do. So Marvel Unlimited has a new channel, like a subcategory of things that allows you to menu. They've been collecting major events in the Marvel universe, and one of the things that I love about it is, I've done a lot of events for comic corners, and those are the ones that have the big binder cover. There's the major Marvel multi-title events, but some of these other like really awesome events that were done really specially, but didn't really get their whole giant book. It was just like one little graphic novel. Have started to show up in Marvel Limited, and one of these I want to showcase today because it was so good. So Brian Bendis, who I've talked about a lot, he's an amazing writer, done tons of stuff. It'd be harder to tell you the titles he hasn't touched in the Marvel universe. He took over the Avengers in 2010, and he did a 2-year run with them. And specifically, I want to talk about, if you're looking for the graphic novel, it's Avengers 2010 by Brian Bendis, Volume 2. And it's issues 10 to 14. And what he does in these 4 issues is super cool. And if you love MCP and you love some of the lore from the cards and some of the characters, it's a smorgasbord of that. It's wonderful. But long story short, the Hood, Parker Robbins, the Hood from our game, is depowered. The Avengers beat him. The demon was ripped from his soul, no longer connected to him, and so he is desperate to try to get his power back. And he is a very driven, very sociopathic individual, and so he is going to do just terrible, terrible things to get power back. And Brian Bendis does a beautiful job of really laying out this breadcrumb trail that the Avengers pick up on very soon, because all of a sudden shit is happening in the Marvel universe that seems impossible unless you had Infinity Stones. And following so Brian Bendis does a great job of outlining the story that goes back and forth in time as you find out how Parker Robbins has been finding out about and trying to acquire the Infinity Stones. And at the same time, for those of you who weren't aware, in 2010, a little backstory if you just pick up this graphic novel and you're wondering, I don't understand this for this one piece, is a couple of prime movers and shakers in the Marvel Universe, namely Professor X, Iron Man, Black Bolt, Namor.
Say it's the Illuminati.
The Illuminati, yes. So these who were kind of showcased in the Multiverse of Madness movie, Doctor Strange, kind of an alternate universe version of them. You met, but the Illuminati had the Infinity Stones at one point and decided they didn't want to just do what they used to do, which is give it to a cosmic entity and hope they took care of it. So we're going to take this into our own hands, and so that each member took one of the stones and hid it somewhere. And so not only is the Illuminati part of the agents who are trying to undo what Parker is doing, the Hood is trying to machinate, but the Avengers, of course, get involved because it's the Avengers title. And guess who doesn't know about the Illuminati? Captain America. And guess who's super excited to find out about the Illuminati? Not like Captain America.
That's been manipulating the world for years.
Again, robbing people of liberties without telling them. Yeah, Captain Liberty not excited about that. And so there is an awesome interplay. So there's multiple plots going on. Brian Bendis does a great job of managing lots of plots and subplots. That's one of the most wonderful things about reading anything he touches, is that he does a great job of making all the plots feel important and useful and weaving them together at certain points where they connect, and then separating them again and giving you time to get to know each one, and then each one gets a great payoff. So those are the 3 things happening. This is, how did Parker Robbins get to the Infinity Stones from the Illuminati? What will Captain America do now the Illuminati exists and he knows it? And then, of course, how do the Avengers and the Illuminati work together to beat an infinity-empowered Hood? So it's very, very, very cool. Like just like I said, it's just like 4 comics, but man, it's amazing. That's the Avengers, the 2010 run by Brian Bendis. Volume 2 is exactly the one that carries that over, and it's really, really good.
Because in the comics, it's the Infinity Stones don't have that like hard to use thing or you could explode thing, right?
No, yeah, you just the hard to use part is that they respond to just consciousness, and human consciousness is not known for being hyper focused.
So you could like give the Power Stone to some idiot, and he probably wouldn't be able to use it.
No, it's more like if you give the Reality Stone to somebody and you're not paying attention to what the fuck you're doing, like all of a sudden you'll change warp reality, like blink yourself out of existence or some shit. Like you could do absolutely terrifying things with the Infinity Gauntlet if you're just some regular guy. So that's what they're most scared of. Not like an incredible supervillain getting the Infinity Gauntlet. They're most scared of just like some power crazed human, like not knowing what they could do with it and just completely blank the universe out of existence. It would be more safe if Thanos had it, because Thanos would know. Thanos would be able to actually manipulate it in a cogent way, if not sane. So, but it's really fascinating how the Avengers and the Illuminati deal with him and his search. It's also kind of cool to see how like a regular human gets a hold of one of the gems, and like how would he use it if he was just trying to steal the other gems from people he knew were incredibly resourceful, like Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Strange. Like how would you do that? Brian Bendis gets really creative with some of those solutions. It's fun.
So if you have the Reality Stone, can you just imagine that you had the other stones?
Not yes-ish. Like yes-ish. Because
it's like D&D wish spell. It's like it might backfire.
Yeah. It's not perfect. Because also like he doesn't even know what the stone looks like. Like he can't imagine it, right? So you can't tell it what to do. You can only tell it what you know to do, right? Yeah. So you can't be
you have to imagine it, and so like you have to like will it into being, and you can't will something you don't know.
Right. So it's you have to have there it's it's timey-wimey rules, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean it's typical comic book stuff. That's
right. But like at one point there's a comical moment where Parker has the reality gem and he's walking through the Fantastic Four's Baxter building, and he's looking at Mr. Fantastic, and he's like, and he's willing himself to be invisible to Mr. Fantastic. He goes, "I am invisible to Mr. Fantastic," and like he's like, "Wow, this is working. This is cool." And all of a sudden, the Thing walks in with like a donut and goes, "Who the hell are you?" And he's like, "Oh shit."
Narrow request.
Right. And then he goes, the floor is liquid underneath Thing." And all of a sudden, like Thing just falls through the floor and he goes, "What the hell's going on?" And he's like, "Okay." He's looking at the reality gem going, "Well, all right." Like he's like figuring out what it does and does not do. Building the plane as he flies it. It's pretty entertaining.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you for tuning in. If you like Kansas City sports balls, you might want to stay tuned after the podcast. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Jeremy.
And Aaron.
And you just listened to What Do Now?
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
We are back.
We did it.
Back again.
Brandon, I'm not gonna lie. This idea, I'm having a really hard time.
What, the movie topic? Or
the show topic? The show topic, and because I really struggle to watch bad TV.
I don't watch bad shows.
I don't do it. So I guess I'm saying I'm looking at like examples, right? Because I'm blanking on things off the top of my head. And so I'm like, what do I watch that people all agree is bad and I like it? I know there's tons of movies.
There's a ton of movies. Like Van Helsing would have been perfect here.
Right, like there's tons of movies I could right off the top of my head. I'm just like, of course, everybody hates this movie. Okay, there you go. But shows a lot. Because the television I watch is. I mean, there's a lot of anime, I guess, that people would probably consider trash. Probably.
They wouldn't have seen it anyway. There's no way to know.
Yeah.
You know what I think is stupid? Valentine's Day.
Yep.
That is the dumbest fucking thing ever. I got so fucking set up, okay? Number one, today's Valentine's Day. I don't see my girlfriend today. We never see each other on Wednesdays. So what does she do? I know she doesn't have any money. So she makes me things. She brought me some really cool Chiefs shit to like make. You know those boards that have
and
stuff?
She didn't say like she was doing it?
No. So
you didn't reciprocate?
Of course not.
You're like, here, I got you these paper plates that were in my pantry.
Pretty much. Yeah,
Day.
and she made these really cool, like, Chief things to put outside, and, like, this Chiefs rock thing that's, like, a big-ass Chief symbol. I'm, like, in a card, a real nice card. So all I could do is, because of the way it is now with Valentine's Day, say, oh, gosh, well, I had planned on this, tomorrow, because I'll see you tomorrow and not today, blah, 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 blah.
So now you're scrambling.
Yeah, but for what? It's not a fucking... Who cares?
It's not real.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah. It's literally one of the made-up holidays. Like it's real made-up.
It's so bad. It's a setup. It's a trap.
I had the best Valentine's Day present ever for our second one. And I've refused to even acknowledge the date ever since. I basically mic dropped and I'm done with this for the rest of my life.
Nice.
Did you say that in advance? Like, okay, just so you know, we're done with this. Like, we did it, now it's over.
I mean, I said it after it was over. I was like, yep, I'm not even going to try to compete.
Yeah, I think that's
she
fine.
was so happy, she agreed. 28 years later, she's like, why did I agree to
that? My wife and I, for some reason, there's the two romantic holidays, your anniversary and Valentine's Day. We both kind of just... We're the kind of person that we went right past them, like right over them in the calendar, and went, "Oh man, we didn't think about this at all, did we?" Nope. Great. And we just kind of looked at each other and went, "Great," and that was it. Like we've never. Our 10th anniversary, we decided to go on a trip, and that was kind of cool. But that was just really it was just an excuse to go on a trip without our kids. But like every single anniversary, every single Valentine's Day, we just kind of look at each other and go, "You didn't do anything?" And I go, "Nope, I didn't do anything. Did you do anything?" "Nope." "Awesome." And we just keep going on about our year.
The closest I got to that...
We go big on other things, but
the closest
I wish more people had that, yeah.
Was the... we stopped giving each other cards. Like, I was married for like 20 years, and we stopped giving each other cards on like day 3 of our relationship. And it was just like an agreed upon thing. No one ever spent money on cards. We did not do cards. And then I started dating around again. I'm like, oh my God, I think they're going to expect fucking cards. And I look, I'm like, cards are $7. What is this?
It's a scam.
I had my kids make you a card.
Now, my wife does a lot of cards. Thank you cards are a big thing for her. Like, it's a big thing for her family. Yeah. And I remember the very first time she was like, "Are you going to make a thank you card?" I went, "I will never, ever make a thank you card." She goes, "Really?" I was like, "No, I will thank them to their face. I will call them and thank them. Like, I'll do whatever you want me to do, but I will not be writing a thank you note." And it's just something that was like part of her culture that I had never once encountered before until I met her. And apparently this is thing like there's a whole like market for it, and it blew me away that people like have stacks of thank you cards ready to go in case somebody does any favors for them. They'll write a little note.
I'll see you every day at work, and I will make sure that I will ask you every day, did you receive the card I mailed for you?
Yeah.
That is so fucking stupid, but it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, can we switch the topic to movies instead? I feel like movies would fit better.
Okay.
I feel like there's more guilty pleasure movies than TV shows.
I came up with 4 guilty pleasure TV shows.
I came up with 37 guilty pleasure TV shows.
Well, yeah, because you just auto add everything on Netflix to your watch list.
Only watch trash.
Yeah.
It's the best. And I'm so happy about it. My life is so much better than everyone's.
I actually found these 4. I'm pretty sure none of you would say, and all of you would agree, are trash. I like the first idea. I think the first idea.
Okay, fine.
I mean, yours, the first one would be Battlestar Galactica, and then move on.
I've never seen it. I've heard
Season
it's
1.
fine.
Yeah.
Season 2, Season 3. I don't care. I can go movies too. It doesn't make a difference.
Well, let's just not restrict it. Let's just say whatever you want is fine. Because it's an oddball topic anyway.
So the problem is, I've already listed all of my guilty pleasure stuff by putting it down as my legit likes.
Oh yeah, they were. That was.
I've been shooting myself in the dick without knowing it.
Yeah, that's why I like the TV.
He's been batting 1,000 the entire time.
Yeah. What's the problem? Like watching a TV show, it just absorbs so much more time. Where it's like a classic movie that you like, that is widely considered bad, is, I think, something that's more realistic as a topic. Like TV shows, it's like, yeah, it's just daytime TV shows that are kind of boring. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't have daytime
it's
TV.
Fine.
I had some.
Well, I know Aaron does. Persons of interest 2.
Are they coming out with that? That would be amazing.
Yes, I bet it
Finally.
You see? That's not a guilty pleasure. That's an actual good fucking TV show right there.
I don't think... I don't like opening it up. I think it should just be one.
All right, so TV shows then.
Okay. Jeremy, speaking of TV shows, did you know that you can watch all 3 seasons of China, Illinois on Adult Swim's website for free?
Oh, really?
Because that's what I just discovered,
Yeah.
and that's all I've been doing with every spare moment of my time.
Oh my god!
is watching that show again, and my god, I'm just like on a rotisserie. I'm just rolling with laughter. It's so fucking funny, that show.
Well, I found out the thing is that's all on HBO now Max or whatever the hell it is, because they bought up half the universe of titles, so you can do that with HBO. That's where I found everything at like a couple years ago. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, China, Illinois, man. Are
they doing anything now? Are they done? Like, did those guys just retire?
Yeah, Brad Neely.
They're like, well, we've done it.
Yeah, I don't know what Brad Neely is doing right now. He did a very, very short second show that was not related to China, Illinois. Brad Neely's Harganoglin Sclopio Pipio was the name of that song, the name of that show. And what a crazy, wonderful name. But, there's a show I've never heard of, The Harper House. Apparently that is on Paramount Plus. He made it. So I guess that's what he's doing now, is this The Harper House.
It actually show? It's a show or not animated?
Animated show.
Okay.
Adult animated show for Paramount Plus.
Okay.
But it came out in 2021 and only 1 season, so apparently it didn't work.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
Only took 1 season.
6 seasons in a movie. 6 seasons in a movie. What I didn't realize is how many very famous people were doing voices on that show later in, like, when it started, China, Illinois, that is, there weren't that many, like, famous people on it. By season 3, like, Kate McKinnon, Jason Alexander, Donald Glover,
really?
Hannibal Buress, Jeffrey Tambor, like, they had a really star-studded cast, like, later on in the show, and I had no idea. Hulk Hogan, of course, famously was the dean, but there was a lot of really very famous people later on in the show, and recurring characters too. Donald Glover's character is fucking hilarious. Like, he's wonderful. Hannibal Buress is also really, really good. But I was listening to the season 3. I was like, why do I recognize every single one of these voices all of a sudden? It's good stuff.
That's how I always was with Rick and Morty. Like, I had no idea. I'm like, okay, this is just a whole murderer's row of comedians and, like, current people.
My brain is fried. I can't fucking think of anything.
Of television shows?
Yeah, well, specifically these. Oh. Again, obviously my taste is exquisite, so, like, it's hard for me to come up with bad ones, but...
Each show you think of is better than the next.
I know, right?
God damn, that is a good show.
Well, there's also like, I think a lot of people would put Always Sunny on this list, but like, I don't see that as something I'm ashamed that I
No,
like.
not at
like,
all.
It is my identity.
No, Always Sunny is not.
And again, it's
Guilty
ascended
pleasure.
past that, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's its own category of greatness at this point. But I think, I think like professional wrestling would be a perfect thing for this category. It's like,
There you
I like
go.
it, but it's trash.
That's 100%. My head didn't even go there, but you're right. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting messages.
Tilt your head down a little bit. Is it from Patrick?
Yeah.
Okay. I can read it
Why did
off
I
of the
tilt my
glare
head?
on your forehead.
Is that what it is? I assume he also just messaged you.
No?
No? Yeah, he did.
It was just the light hitting you at the right spot.
I know I'm missing one that I'm going to be mad at myself later for not remembering. I could name like 10 animes, but it's just not coming to me right now. Okay. You guys about ready to go?
Let's do it.
Let's
Cool.
roll.
Aaron, you looked very excited for the Sports Balls combo.
Oh, hell yeah.
I've got 9 pages of points I want to talk about.
I could not be more excited.
You look excited.
I mean, as long as we're just going to focus on how that was a pretty fucking pathetic game. Full of
What do you-
bad
what?
play.
Boo, boo, boo. Aaron, you're not going to get out of this by trying to upset me.
It was about two and a
It's
half
good
hours
Attempt, though. It's a good
of
attempt.
monkeys fucking footballs is what that game was.
It's a good attempt to get out of this, but
Ugh.
it's not working.
I could talk about this all night long.
Mhm. So anyway, let's go ahead and do our Mojo World. All right, so I conveniently get to go last because I'm fucking crushing it. Wait a second, hold on. Let me double check. Votes are still piling in. All right, here we go. All right, Parker got the gets to go last because he didn't show up. Aaron is second to last. No, wait. Aaron gets to go first.
Otherwise known as first.
I do like your strategy of getting to go first all the time
It is pretty strong.
by naming persons of interest every time.
What is
just
that
kidding.
first comment below that? Yeah, exactly.
No, I actually was going to give you your props. Somebody, I can't see because I'm on a stream mode, so it blanks out the names, but somebody gave you props.
Appreciate that, somebody.
I was surprised Wire and True Detective didn't take it down.
I'm just too old. Like, that's all there is to
Too
it.
old.
I've
Nobody's
given up.
seen The Wire.
Yeah,
They're
no,
not
like
58.
all the classics. Like it does. Like every good show comes from the shows I recommend, but nobody saw the original fucking shows. So I'm fucking over it.
That's a good point.
Fuck it, dude. There was none of this shit before The Wire, but somehow The Wire isn't the best one.
Nobody's
Whatever.
seen it because it's like an HBO only, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
nobody's
hasn't
seen
been
it
put anywhere yet.
because they didn't have HBO when they were kids.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, so let's see. Our topic today is guilty pleasure TV shows. So TV shows that you like that you would not immediately volunteer that you do watch. So this can't be something you're proud of. It has to be something you're not proud that you like.
Yep.
Like, you would probably only tell somebody that you watch this show if they specifically asked you or said that they watch it.
Oh, I don't know. I think if somebody told you they watch it, you would probably just go, "Yep, that person."
Oh, well, I mean, that depends on the person.
I was gonna say
I've
that
definitely
person-
had that. Like,
Yeah.
there's people that come up to me as like, "Hey, have you ever seen Always Sunny?" I'm like, "Nope," because like, I do not want to have a conversation with you, especially
Exactly.
about something I care about.
That's the thing is a guilty pleasure TV show attracts the wrong crowd. You don't always want to
Exactly.
join them.
Right, but if one of us was like, "Oh, I also watched that show," like we'd be talking about it constantly. But
Mhm.
yeah, unfortunately, it's always at work, and somebody walks up to me. It's like, "Do you watch American Gladiators?" I'm just like, "Nope, never heard of it." Like, and then they try to explain it to me. I'm like, "That's weird. I don't like that," until they leave me alone.
So I'm going to have to twist your definition a little bit because I am ashamed of 0 TV shows I've ever watched in my life. My bar of shame is so low. You don't understand how low my bar of shame is. What I
don't know,
can do is
I feel like I've seen it before, but let's go.
I'm gonna give you some TV shows that I either just can't not watch when they just come on,
Yeah, it's like
but
train wreck.
are not critically acclaimed. So I'm not saying they're good. They're just shit that I'm like, how did the last 8 hours of my day go? I don't know.
Yeah, like the one that I almost put on my list was like Bar Rescue, and then it's just like, I don't know why I find this interesting, because it's like everything I hate in a TV show, but I can't stop watching it.
Then why isn't it on your list? I think it's a great example.
Because I don't actively go and watch it. It's
Oh.
only when I see like a clip come up, I watch the clip.
Got
But
it.
that's like how you're supposed to absorb reality shows, right? It's like you're supposed to see the clip, but then they stretch it and pander and make the whole thing, make the pacing awful. And it's just like, if you didn't do that, I'd actually watch this thing. But instead, you made a 10-minute episode last an hour, so I don't care anymore.
Mhm.
Anyway, so Aaron, you're going to get first pick today.
Okay, my first pick is the only one that immediately came to me. It's Walker, Texas Ranger.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh my god.
I don't know how you can turn Chuck off. You just can't.
Yeah, obviously you can.
I was gonna say I can show you anytime you want.
Chuck turned the TV on. Okay, next up is Jeremy.
My TV shit is very shameless as well.
I know.
But I'm gonna go in a different direction of some good quality shameful television that I just love. If it's on, I have to watch it, and it's the fucking MTV show Catfish. That is the trashiest, fucking most disgusting group
I've
of
seen
human
a
beings,
clip of that.
and they are so awful, and it is just chef's kiss perfect.
Yeah, because it's about people like catfishing people online, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like confronting them.
Yeah, and they go find them, and it turns out they're pieces of trash. If you thought you were going to be meeting a woman, you're definitely meeting a man dressed as a woman. If if they told you they were a model, they definitely weigh over 500 pounds.
Yeah, but it's also like they're just like trolling you to like fuck with your emotions sometimes. Like it's just weird. Like,
or they're
like,
your roommate.
People like invent like total like identities and like pretend to be completely different people.
Yeah, or like I said, they're your roommate, and it turns out they were using IP
just fucking with
fucking
you.
things.
Yeah.
And they were in love with them. Oh, it's so stupid and gross. But I have to.
There was a football player that this happened to famously like 10 years ago, where a football player was in the draft. Manti Te'o, I want to say his name was.
Something like that.
And so he's a hugely famous college player, and he's coming into the NFL draft, and so they do all these interviews with him because he's like high profile, and then he's talking about, it's like, oh man, like, my girlfriend and I, like, and they like, he had stayed up talking with her every day for like 3 months to like 3 a.m. and like all this stuff. Come to find out, it was just like, it was all fake. It was a completely invented persona by someone that was just fucking with him, and it like completely destroyed his life. It was crazy.
Jeremy, I've never watched this show. I can't put it on my list. But The Circle. Have you heard of this Netflix show?
Who are you talking to?
Just saw a trailer for
it. Okay.
Yeah, Jeremy's already seen it.
My wife.
Yes.
My wife watches it, and every time I watch, I'm like, why are these people choosing to catfish other people? They could just be themselves and be friendly. Why are they choosing to make a persona? And she's like, I don't know. It's just like just things people want to do. They just want to make a persona and be a different person.
Yeah, that one isn't. I don't really like that one.
That one I always watch the whole time. I go, I don't understand why this person would be a different person in order to try to be friendly. Why aren't they just friendly? I don't get it.
The Catfish episode Always Sunny is pretty good too.
Yeah.
All right, so I go to my first one. I've got one I've talked about before. This is, in my opinion, the ultimate guilty pleasure show is Supernatural. Like, this show is so bad.
It's bad.
but like 5% of the show is great. So it's totally worth watching for that 5%.
I saw a clip of that the other day that made me smile. It was both of them were getting in a car, like one of them had just been resurrected or something. I haven't seen the show, and they're like, "Glad you're back." And they turn on the radio.
It's literally a soap opera. Yeah,
they turn on the radio, and it's immediately some sort of like a terrible song from the 70s or something, and one guy, the guy who owns the radio, is immediately embarrassed,
It's like, ooh, gross.
and he goes to change it, and the other one goes, no, let it ride. They tear off in the car. I was like, that's pretty fun. That's pretty good.
On sports ball topic, somebody edited that to be it's like when you're on your way to the Chiefs Super Bowl party, and you get in the car and he turns on and it's Taylor Swift playing, and the guy's like, oh, why are you listening to this? He's like, we're just gonna go with it. He drives off in the car. All right, Parker, your first pick.
My first pick is going to be, I'm actually going to test the water with this one because I think this one counts, but maybe you guys will tell me it's too mainstream and I can't.
I vote to veto.
Family Guy. Is Family Guy?
I think it's fine as long as you think that you would be ashamed of admitting you watch it.
I am ashamed to admit that I love that show. But
You
Yeah,
should.
like American Idol is hugely popular, but is a garbage fire of a TV show.
I think Family Guy is one of the most derivative comedies that exists. It's just got one formula, but I love that fucking formula. Like, I love it.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
It's the AC/DC of television, I think. They have one song, but it's a good song.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's a bad analogy. So after Family Guy, what do you got?
Oh, I get another one.
Yeah, we've only done this 178 times.
I haven't been last in a while. I'm going to.
That's true. You also don't show up a lot. Here, let me add some probationary episodes.
My second one I'm going to go with is actually another one of these reality shows that's terrible, but I don't know why. I watched every episode. Storage Wars.
Oh God.
That's a winner.
Even Jeremy is like, nope.
Yup.
That show is so fake.
It's like, I can tell all reality
that is
shows, you
terrible.
can see the seams everywhere, right? You can see how much the producers produced everything. But for some reason, my wife and I were locked to that thing. We watched, I think, first 3 seasons, every episode. Storage Wars. There's something about it that we just fell in love with. I don't know why we got bored of it, but we did eventually. But
I don't think you could force me to watch Storage Wars. That show is so bad. You should have led with Storage Wars. Jesus.
I didn't think anybody was taking that one, but I liked it.
Yeah. Oh my God. I want to throw up. All right. So I don't know if this one will count either. It's a sci-fi original TV show that I really liked. And I think the part I'm ashamed of is that I really liked it. And it got canceled after 1 season. But it is Stargate Universe. And so I'm not normally that, super cheesy sci-fi stuff. Like, I barely have watched any Star Trek. And so, I don't know if it really rates on the scale, but it came to my head immediately when I started thinking of this topic because most people who have seen it don't think it's very good, and I think it's amazing.
Oh yeah, this is like the bad Stargate.
It's the one nobody watched, and I loved it. I thought it was a really cool premise. So basically, typical Stargate shit's going on. They're on a planet, and they get attacked by this alien race, and so they have to evacuate, but the Stargate isn't working, so they have to just not put in a destination, and they just get the planet's going to explode, so they just go through the Stargate with no destination because it's broken. And so they end up on a spaceship, and there's a Stargate on the spaceship, and then they start going around, and they look, the ship seems derelict, just floating in space. They're like, what the fuck is this? We've never seen anything like this. They come to find out that the ship is traveling at faster than light speed through the universe, and then basically nobody's on it, though. It's completely abandoned, but it's super advanced technology, and they come to realize it's from the people who made the Stargates. It was one of their ships. And then for the whole season, they're trying to get around the ship because a lot of doors are locked. They can't get around. There's a lot of damage to the ship, and then all kinds of weird stuff starts happening. And I thought it was a really interesting approach on the whole Stargate universe.
You could have just said Lou Diamond Phillips was one of the characters.
It also has Lou Diamond Phillips. He's in literally everything on sci-fi scale.
Yeah, you could have just said Lou Diamond Phillips is one of the main characters. I would have said, yeah, that sounds pretty bad.
It's got the dad from 28 Weeks Later.
It does.
Is the scientist in the show. He's really good. Also, the girl who plays May from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is in it. She's pretty good. And the guy who plays the army general guy is actually really good in there too. But the cast was great, and I thought the story was interesting, but they canceled it. So All right, Jeremy, your next reality TV show, please.
There's so many.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, basically, I'm a sucker for any of the fucking relationship shows that are just.
I know.
Just meet somebody, get married, automatic. Like, let's just go with.
Wife swap.
No, I would love it. I just haven't got into that one.
Mhm.
What is it? Which one is this? Love at First Sight. That's my most favorite one recently.
Mhm.
Lots of seasons. Like, there's a lot of people that just binge this thing. But the idea is, you just
It's like
get
blind date,
arranged.
then you get married.
No, you just arrange married. You don't know them. They meet you
Oh.
based on, people are. You take a survey, and it's Match.com permanent.
It's Match.com,
Yeah.
but they handcuff you
They
together.
yeah. And they fucking always hate each other, and it almost always never works out, and they're just all fucking, oh my god.
So it's more of a cautionary tale, not to marry somebody you've never met before.
Pretty much. But oh my god, I love it. I'm like, which episode are we on? Okay, next episode, let's go. Yeah, it's
Okay.
stupid as fuck.
Alrighty. Aaron, your final 2 picks, please.
So I've got 7 on my list.
Oh my god.
I know. Well, the first one is going to be easy. It's Chuck.
Oh.
Is that the
Yeah.
one where
Damn it.
Stole that one out from under you. Say what?
Is that
I thought that was
Pixar
safe.
guy? Wait, what's
It's Zachary Levi.
Yeah, the guy who plays Shazam. Also, one of the girls from Dexter.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Sorry.
There was no way in hell you were going to name Chuck.
Well, I did. I went with Chuck Norris and then Chuck. And for my last pick,
Chucky the series.
it's going to be Alias.
Oh, okay.
Jennifer Garner, spy, thriller, season-esque stuff.
A little fun fact about that. I was watching something about a CIA undercover specialist, and they were talking about just like, how to misdirect people, like how to do costume change, like how to do some of these things they actually teach their agents to do. And they said Alias actually, whether or not they did a lot of research, they didn't know, but Alias actually had a couple sequences in the show that were really, really good examples of like costume change and like image change and like how to not make a huge amount of difference in your body but actually make it difficult to recognize you. And they said that was it. They said of all the media that's ever been produced of people like the Mission Impossible where there's a totally
Doing
rubber
disguises,
mask and
yeah.
that kind of shit, is like Alias is probably the best example of legitimate like pragmatic costume change and disguise. I thought that was interesting. So there you go.
Cool. All right, Jeremy. Final pick.
All right. I've managed to hit several categories, so I'm going to hit another one. I'm not going to dive right back into the dating shows because I got about 40 of those.
Do you have a cake show for us? I need a cake show.
Cake Boss is pretty legit. Nailed It is always good. We can go. There's a lot. You just look it up. I sat up one night, and it was about 11 p.m., maybe midnight, and I cruised around, and I landed on Beard Wars. And I watched fucking 9 episodes of Beard Wars, and then I had to go to work immediately afterwards. I didn't go to sleep. It was the most fascinating fucking thing I ever saw in my life. And that's the first time I've told anyone I did that one time.
I'm going to need you to expand a little bit more. Could you please at least...
Beard Wars.
It's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah. They had
like
competition.
crafting a beard?
It's just a competition show where they like rate people's beards.
No, they comb them out and they're fantastic, just like a dog show. And they go and they do competitions and they go to different towns and they're very snobby about it. Like they're like, your beard doesn't have any thickness. Like it was so crazy.
But they don't like do anything. It's just like it's like a pageant, right?
Yeah.
They just hang out and then they rate them and like there's a winner.
Yeah. In each episode, they like go to a different town and different people.
They travel
show
around
up.
and compete in these events where they just rate your beards.
Yep.
And then the winner wins, I guess.
I mean, I don't know.
Yep, that's the show.
Yep.
But they follow specific people, I imagine. So it's like there's drama.
Yeah, there's drama of the so-and-so doesn't like so-and-so because his beard's a little thinner, but he seems to claim that he puts lotions in it. Like, I don't fucking know, man. That was a good one, though.
Heavy quotation marks around that.
Oh God! Wait, is this your pick, or are you just fucking with Aaron?
No, that's his pick.
Yeah.
Are you picking Beard Wars, or
Yeah,
are you just mentioning? Oh my God!
That's my pick.
Fuck! I thought you were just telling him about a show you had seen.
No, dude,
he couldn't
it's that
possibly
bad.
be saying.
Oh my God!
It's fucking awesome.
I love that you couldn't imagine a universe where he thinks Beard Wars is the right answer.
Dude,
That's
it was
amazing.
fucking awesome.
I mean, the name of the category is
I am
guilty
so
pleasures.
sorry.
So.
Yeah.
I am so fucking sorry, people.
I'm not gonna lie. The way you guys reacted to Storage Wars made me feel like it couldn't get any worse. But you really helped
Storage
me
Wars
out
still
there,
the
Jared.
worst. I'd rather look at people's beards than watch people bid over fucking
Oh
garbage.
no, I
and
disagree.
then have them talk about a fucking rusty screwdriver's worth of $7 on Facebook Marketplace.
I disagree.
Fuck
Nickels.
off.
I disagree. There's at least some suspense and drama in
It's
Storage
all
Wars.
staged. What's the suspense? It's staged.
I don't care.
Oh,
I don't.
repo.
I don't
That
want.
show,
To,
the
I don't
repo
want
wars
to
are-
I
know.
want to
I don't.
watch.
I don't want to know about anyone's beard. I
Parker
don't
wants
want
to
that.
desperately watch really bad actors deliver shitty written lines into a camera deadpan.
So much more than I want to know about the consistency of a human beard. So
I
much
know,
more.
right?
You know
Oh,
what?
but
I do know a lot about it now. Thank you.
I know. I know.
if you're gonna watch these shows, at least watch like Forged in Fire or something that
I
actually
watched
has
all
a
those
point
too.
to it. I bet you did, but like, how did you not? You named Beard Wars before? Oh my God!
He
I'm
had
not
he had
embarrassed
to go
about
down
Forged in Fire.
Yeah, Forged in Fire is considered. Yeah, I wouldn't even
That
let you
shit's
do
the
that one.
tits.
I fucking hate all of you guys. I fucking hate you.
This is your category, Boyo.
I hate myself. Okay, fuck me. I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm so derailed.
Pawn. You gotta say, what is the pawn shop fucking thing?
Pawn Stars.
No, the pawn
Stars.
shop stuff is reasonably interesting. But yeah, it's not definitely not good over a long period. It's like I could watch clips maybe. There's so many animes I could name here that would be perfect for this, but I don't think that's really what this segment is about. So I'm gonna go with Smallville, and I need to clarify here. I do not like Smallville anymore. But as a child, I watched it. I was like, this is amazing. And so I got like 5 seasons, or no, it was like 3 or 4 seasons in Smallville in my like junior high era and like / getting into high school. And then I just like, I had this thing like I just, if I ever committed to watch a show, I had to finish it. And so I watched the entire 10 seasons, but I didn't want to anymore. And so I watched the last 6 seasons of Smallville as protest.
Damn.
And I fucking regretted it so much. Anyway, that's my last one, Smallville.
Well done, you did it. Swamp People.
Parker.
All right. I'm gonna go with. This is tough. I have 2 left that I'm really debating hard, but I'm gonna go
Apparently it
with.
doesn't matter. Just fucking parking lot wars, whatever. It
No,
doesn't matter.
I'm actually gonna go with the one I'm gonna go with the one I watched all of it, and it's because of the time in my life. Entourage. I watched
Ooh.
all of Entourage. I did not watch the movie. Spoiler alert. It's just the show some more, but
Yeah.
but anyway, it is that is a show that looking back on it, I go, okay, that was a time in my life when I thought that was cool, and I realized my terrible mistake now. But at the time I was into it. I watched the whole thing. I knew lines by heart.
Okay, we're done. I'm sorry. This is the worst thing ever.
We're all you asked us to air out our dirty TV laundry, and we did it for you, and now you are so mad.
I didn't think there was any chance it'd be this bad.
I'm
Aaron,
sorry.
Aaron, you crushed it. Aaron, you are gonna win
Yeah.
20-0 this week.
Yeah.
Guaranteed
No one's-
loss incoming.
No, you actually have like good TV shows on here.
Oh man.
Oh God, Chuck is such a perfect pick because it's good, but it's like also bad.
Yep.
Oh
man.
my god.
There's not a lot of honorable mentions for this list. I wanted to say Storage Wars, but I don't know if I'm me watching, or no, not Storage Wars. Junkyard Wars. But I don't know if Junkyard Wars is a guilty pleasure, because I think everyone in middle school thought Junkyard Wars was the best fucking thing ever.
Is that where they built shit from the junkyard?
Yeah, they
that
let
was a
you
good
loose
one.
in a scrapyard, and they give you an objective, and you have to accomplish your objective by building something with only the scrap you find in the yard.
It was about being really resourceful. Like
It was an engineering show, right? It's like how to be resourceful.
One of mine on the list that I don't think I could put on because I didn't actually watch it all, and it was mostly just it was on with my wife. But I enjoyed it. Was Glee. I actually watched a bunch of Glee. And the last one was Antiques Roadshow.
Oh
Yeah, that American Pickers.
Yeah. Now American
never
Pickers
got into-
is just Storage Wars with travel, right? It's a very
Yes.
similar concept.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how scripted that is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'm sure it's more scripted than you would be led to believe, but I don't think it's as scripted as
I
Storage Wars.
think American Pickers is only somewhat scripted. So I think it's staged, but I do think they go around looking for that stuff. But once they find it, they basically have a conversation with the person that owns it and set up those situations.
Yeah.
Like, I think that part is staged, but I think they do go around looking for the stuff. And even if they don't, like, the whole point of it is, like, finding old, interesting things. It's basically This Old House, but with junk.
Now, you guys, you get illuminated a little bit for me because I never looked behind the curtain of Storage Wars. Was every storage container, like, just fabricated? Or was it actually things they found?
I think... Well, the funny part is actual storage containers are staged beyond just the TV show, but yeah. Like, the whole concept of the storage facilities auctioning off the lots, a lot of the time, those small podunk places will just stage them. They won't actually be an auction. And so they basically just get a bunch of garbage that they have left over that somebody abandoned a unit. They've already picked through it for everything. Then they put all the shit back in a new locker and tell you it's an auction. And then, like, they're not supposed to do that. It's illegal, but they do it because it's a fucking storage lot. Like, but yeah, a lot of those shows are really, really bad. It's probably not the most staged show, but there's the whole point of the show though is that they try to see what they can get out of it. But it's totally pointless because. How do they, Parker, you've seen the show.
Yeah.
How do they figure out how much money they make?
They go to
A guy says a number when he opens a box.
Right. Or they
don't
they take them
actually
to the same, like,
follow.
5 antique stores or pawn shops or whatever they...
Right, but there's no actual, like, due diligence in anything. They just open a box and go, this is $5, this is $10.
Oh.
There's nothing. It's just whatever the guy says.
Right, that part.
Now, if they actually follows, if they actually, like, itemized it and, like, hey... The gaming consoles, we sold them for this much, blah blah blah, and they actually broke it all down. That'd be kind of interesting because you're like invested in the unit. But it's literally the entire show. If you take a step back and look at it, is people having like a scripted auction, and then guy opening boxes and saying numbers. That's the entire show. Nothing else happens.
Well, I'm not going to defend the show. I was about to say
no. That's
and
fine. It's totally fine if you like it. I'm just saying
it's a guilty pleasure show. It's something.
But I'm just saying,
I enjoy.
like when you think about it, that's literally all that happens. It's a guy opening a box and saying a number, and then they just get actors to play these completely unrealistic humans, and that's what's supposed to keep you watching. Is that these people are ridiculous as humans.
I didn't realize that some of those shows were scripted. I knew that one was because it came out like this whole like big thing. There was like an article about it. Like this whole thing's bullshit.
Yeah, there was another one that was really bad because they didn't get any good actors, like not even like reality show actors, and it was just so obvious because the guy can't deliver a line to literally save his life, and so he'll like. There's like this really uncomfortable pause, and then he remembers that he's supposed to be the one talking. So he just says this canned line at the camera. I'm like, bro.
Well, there's a show, it's called, I think it was called Repo Wars. And they were literally like, these people would bust in to take their shit back. And it would be like in the worst neighborhoods doing the worst things, and no one died. Like this, it was the environment. Like you just get shot going in someone's backyard.
Yeah.
Like there'd be 100 Dobermans like destroy you, and it never happened. And they were just these fat, tattooed, gross fucking family
Yeah.
that did it. It was like a Dog the Bounty Hunter kind of thing. It was so
yeah,
gross.
It's lizard killing or
Yes,
something.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so gross.
No, yeah, that show's super scripted as well.
Yeah.
So Jeremy, like there is actually evidence somewhere of it just being. So Storage Wars was just a bunch of actors. Did I just get my magic? Did I just see behind the curtain and it's just the Wizard of Oz?
Yes.
It's just okay.
Yeah.
I knew those things are monstrous. All reality shows are monstrously produced, and so much of it is dictated by the production and not the reality. Literally,
Yeah,
of what's
that
going
one
on.
I did like too
Yeah.
until I found out it
I
was
just
fake.
did a Google search. Storage Ward consists entirely of paid actors.
Okay, well there you go.
And
I
exactly
learned
like
something
Brandon's
today.
saying, my family owned storage units, and it is pretty much like you're saying. Most people,
Yeah, it's just a
the
scummy business.
I mean,
yeah.
and the problem with storage units is people shouldn't have them. Like they just put stuff in them that's
Yeah.
trash. Like they just store their
No,
trash
you're right.
mostly.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing as like, I don't know. If you don't use stuff at that quantity, you shouldn't be. So it's only used for nefarious purposes, and kind of like people that don't realize that they can't let go of stuff, right?
Divorced
And
people
so it's
that
like,
have to store their shit for
The
a
whole
minute.
point
Like,
it was
that's what
that
it's
if
for.
you're in a state of transition until you get to whatever you're going to do, you can store things. But people have used it as I'm going to keep my junk here. And it's like, well, you clearly don't fucking need it if it's not even at your house.
Well, I guess I'm keeping Storage Wars because it's definitely a guilty pleasure. But now I have to change my mind from I enjoyed it to
But it's
I
weird. It's
I
like
was
the laugh
duped.
track. Once you
I was
realize
duped.
it's fake, it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it
Yeah,
feels
it's
real
totally
gross when
different.
you watch it. Yeah.
mhm. And you're like, oh, someone wrote that line for me to hear, thinking that I would find it entertaining, and I do. And you're like, I don't know how I feel about this.
I understand that things on television are made to be entertaining and then sell. Like that
Yeah.
that doesn't surprise me. But to go all the way out to say that the entire premise was fabricated, the people that are doing the job aren't people that have that job. They're just
Mhm.
actors.
Yeah, like
to
Swamp
appear
People
like they do.
is probably not paid actors, because why the fuck would you take that job as an
How
actor?
do you knock all your own teeth out?
To knock all your teeth out.
Where do you find
Go
the gun
wrestle
that doesn't
alligators?
work?
Shoot 'em, Jacob.
Yeah,
It's not shoot 'em, it's shoot 'em.
shoot 'em.
shoot
You
'em.
gotta shoot it.
Shoot 'em, Jacob. Shoot 'em, Jacob. Shoot 'em.
Yeah, exactly. Though that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
And then there's reality shows where it's like there's paid actors, but that's the point. Yeah, it's whatever.
Well, I guess
But
I
yeah.
enjoyed an entirely fabricated version of what happens to storage units. That's
Yeah,
what,
well,
that's what I
it's
enjoyed.
dramatized
Yeah.
so that it's more enjoyable. Because if you actually watch it, it'd be boring as fuck.
But it's
It's like
interesting.
all of it, like Dog the
yeah.
Bounty Hunter. Same
Yeah,
thing.
they were using the veneer of reality to make it seem exciting,
Yeah.
rather than
It's realistic TV,
Right.
not reality TV.
there you
yeah.
go, realistic TV.
You open
I
it
guess
up
is-
and it's all
But
bed
it's
frames. and
it's
fucking
somehow
beds.
way less realistic than anything else.
Yeah.
Like one show that I found slightly interesting from like the reality aspect is Hoarders, because Hoarders is definitely people
Oof.
like they're trying to help people get over a mental illness, and it's
Yeah.
like holy shit, some of these people just cannot let go.
I don't know if they're trying to help people. I think they're trying to profit off the fact that people have mental illnesses.
Sure.
But
They do, like, the whole point of the show is to help them. But
Mhm.
yeah, there is, they're doing it for money.
And you got to be better
Yeah, I'll
off
do
if
that
you didn't let
for
your house
money.
swallow you whole
Mm.
and get trapped under trash. Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys want to talk about football? Or do you want to get out of here?
that
All
sounds
right,
like
let's
that sounds like a tomorrow.
I'm ready
That
to
sounds
go.
like a Thursday night topic when we're done playing games. This is
All right, so 30 minutes of football talk. I actually I was thinking about doing a sports like bonus episode if anyone cared, but I don't know. We'll see.
Bonus-ode.
Yeah, it was like Kenny, Jeremy, and Connor just like have just a sports thing. We don't have to.
I don't hate it, but it can't happen tonight.
Hmm.
I'm all set tonight.
Cool.
I will say this one thing, Brandon, which is when we won, when it happened, I was sick here at home, so I didn't get to go to your party. and I looked behind me, and you weren't there to
Mhm.
pick me up and throw me somewhere, and I was a little sad because
I threw you like 10 feet last year.
every time the Chiefs have ever had a notable win, I was in your house, and the tradition is
Parker does
I'm grabbed by I'm grabbed across the chest and chucked somewhere.
Yeah.
And
Just wherever.
and it's one of the only times in my life that I think I would be so excited about other things to not be immediately startled and upset about being tossed. And so when it didn't happen, I noticed it, and so I wanted you to know that I thought about you in that moment, and
Nice.
the fact that I couldn't be tossed.
Jeremy, do you know why Parker, and this is Peter Parker, by the way, only eats rice-a-roni?
I don't know.
Because he's all out of Uncle Ben's.
Fuck.
Yeah, that is wonderful. Oh, that's the best one ever. I'm writing it down.
I really
was
like
an
this
ace.
one.
I'm writing
That was an
it down.
That was an ace.
I'm gonna give you
Jeremy,
4
that's an
stars.
ace.
Yeah. That's
Man,
that's the line, guys. So far, it's the only one that's made it across.
yeah.
No, you've liked some other ones.
That one
That's
was
a home
solid.
run.
That is a good one, though. I really like that one.
Wow.
That was worth the wait. That was worth getting through all the bad Brandon ones.
It was also just the right amount of dark too. That was really
Yeah. No, yeah.
That's
for
probably
sure.
why I liked it.
yeah.
Alrighty, cool. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.